and would actually show that they could.
Lawmakers debated and discussed several issues as they wrapped up another week in the Missouri state capitol. The House Transportation Committee discussed a proposal aiming to raise the maximum speed limit in the state. House Bill 295 raises the speed limit to 75 miles per hour on the state's rural interstates and freeways. Following the hearing, no further action was taken on the proposal.
Of the most vulnerable members.
The House Civil and Criminal Proceedings Committee discussed a proposal intended to help law enforcement fight sexual trafficking. House Bill 152 expands the crime of sexual trafficking by adding the advertisement of a child to the law. The bill mirrors federal legislation filed by Congresswoman Ann Wagner. Human trafficking is a $9 billion industry in the country, and it affects more than 300,000 children. By adding the advertisement of a child to the law, the sponsor hopes to give law enforcement a tool in the fight against sexual trafficking.
Now, to go after the perpetrators of these crimes, we need to cut them off at every avenue. And advertising is one of the places that has long been used by them, and one that the government has not been able to efficiently cut off.
Following the hearing, the committee did not take any further action on the legislation.
It's time to beat the cheat.
Rounding out the week, the Missouri House put its stamp of approval on legislation aiming to protect the state's election process. House Bill 30 and House Joint Resolution 1 require Missourians to show a valid photo ID at the polling place before participating in any public election.
I think over the past couple of years, every legitimate objection to this, I think, has been laid bare, and the bark has been stripped off the tree, and there's just no reason that someone that shows up to vote shouldn't identify themselves.
Under the proposal, if someone doesn't have a photo ID, the state would provide them one free of charge. However, opponents argue the bill is a solution, searching for a problem.
You have no evidence of voter fraud, voter anything in the state of Missouri that would warrant this legislation. The only thing that this legislation does is remind people of the discrimination that we still face today.
Lawmakers approved both pieces of legislation with 118 yes votes and sent both to the Missouri Senate for consideration. If the General Assembly approves the proposal, it still must receive approval from the voters before the photo ID requirement becomes law. Reporting from the state capitol, I'm Jonathan Lorenz.